The largest crappie I ever caught in my life came from Mississippi, came from a real famous place. Now, we're not coming to you from that place this week, but we're very nearby and we're going crappie fishing, my favorite thing to do. Glad you're along with us. The next half hour is going to be a blast. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hi everyone, you're in for a real treat, and so am I on this week's episode. We're coming to you from the famous crappie I-55 corridor of Mississippi. Come on down here, let me show you something. I've got the Nitro Z20 already launched, and when you see this around my neck, and you see those 4 long, loose crappie rods, and you see those rod holders up there, you know one thing, we're in for some slabs on this week's episode. I am always thrilled to get to come to this place. We're coming to you from beautiful Sardis Lake. It's located just outside the town of Batesville, Mississippi, between Jackson, Mississippi and Memphis, Tennessee. It's one of a series of U.S. Corps of Engineer lakes right up and down the I-55 corridor, and they're all loaded with crappie, and some of them are big. We're going to go out in search of them this week on beautiful Sardis Lake. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around the region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right near you, both saltwater and freshwater. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to plan on doing some long lining on this week's show, and I'll explain to you what that means and how effective it is for crappie, especially when you haven't seen a lake like I have not seen this one, and I don't really know much about it right now, but we're going to go scout it out together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, let's get things started back at the FSN studios with your weekend planner.
Hi, and thanks for joining us. It appears both days of the weekend will offer good fishing conditions. The Salooner tables are predicting peak game fish activity in the early morning on both days, starting around 4:12 on Saturday and 5:15 on Sunday morning. Late afternoon action kicks off at 4:50 on Saturday and 5:51 on Sunday. So plan to be on the water either early or late in the afternoon for the best action. Expect the sun to rise at 6:21 and set at 8:35. And evenings will feature a moon that is 31% visible. Stay with us, we've got fishing reports from across the area on the way. Plus, the biggest name in bass fishing, Kevin Van Dam, stops by to answer your Ask the Pro question. Back in a bit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lou's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. The best in bass and crappie lures, heads to tails. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Request our free 2019 fishing guide at orangebeach.com.
This is just a good, solid fish. That's a pound and 3/4, something like that. Well, we've made it out on Sardis, and I've got my rods set up, doing some long lining, and I'll explain kind of the setup and the situation here. Here's a bite. That didn't take very long. Is it a fish? Yep, it's fish. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you got a 14-foot rod. Not a big one, but just a decent fish to get things started. Come up. There we go. All right, there's just a Sardis keeper right there. That would be a solid 11-inch or so keeper right there. Not a big one for the I-55 corridor by any stretch, but let me explain a little bit about Sardis. Sardis is about 100,000 surface acre big lake at normal pool level, at summer pool, which means when it's full. In the winter, they draw this lake way down to about 1/10 of that. And actually about 10,000 surface acres in the winter because they're getting ready for the spring rains. It's flood control lake, Corps of Engineers, as all these I-55 lakes here in Mississippi are. And then in the spring, it fills up, and right now, headed into little bit later in the year, this thing is above normal pool level. In fact, it's about 25 feet above, so huge fluctuations in this lake. And the crappie I'm finding seem to be in that gap in between the flooded brush and the creek channel. So here's another bite right here. Got another one. All right, there's something working here. But again, he would be another keeper if we were keeping him. There you go.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by Tejas Boots. Full custom boots, handmade right here in the Lone Star State. Tejas Boots will last you a lifetime. Why buy off the rack? Life is too short to walk in another man's boots. Now this week we're going to talk to you about Lake Bridgeport, where you'll find a great crappie bite on the boat docks with brush. You'll want to shoot your crappie jigs up under those, or bobber and crappie rig your minnows around the sides and the back of those boat docks. Now over at Lake Fork, the bass bite is phenomenal. It is one of the best times of the year. Early in the morning, start with your topwaters, your buzzbaits, your poppars. As soon as that dies out, you can get out deep with your 6, 8, and 10 XDs. You can drop shot, or you can Carolina rig. That's been this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by the good folks at Tejas Boots. Give them a look if you're in the mood for some footwear from Texas. Be sure and check us out, Lone Star Lakes, on Facebook.
So let me explain my rod setup here, my trolling technique. Most of the guys that fish here use a technique called spider rigging. That's where they put 2 rod holders that'll hold 4 rods each, so 8 rods, and they spread them in a 180-degree arc around the front of the boat. They put heavy weights on them and they just creep along with 8 rods at about 2 or 0.2 or 0.3 miles an hour. I want to cover more water than that since I don't know this lake very well, so I'm long lining. I've got 4 rods out. I've got them cast out behind the boat about 40, 50 feet, something like that, and I'm trolling faster. I'm doing about 1 mile an hour, so there's a bite. Yeah, that's fish. All right, let me get him in here. Got my long handle net. There we go. All right, there's a decent fish for you. That's more representative of what you catch at Sardis. Let me tell you this, Sardis is one of really about 7 lakes up and down the I-55 corridor. The one that's famous for the biggest crappie, of course, is Grenada. Grenada just, I caught a crappie there 2 years ago that was nearly 3 pounds, and nobody even looked a second time at it. They catch them 4 pounds there. But for Sardis, this is just a good solid fish. That's a pound and 3/4, something like that. Fat belly eating shad out there. If we were keeping them, that would sure go in the live well, but we're not today. Away he goes. Slab hunter. In this muddy water, that fish right there chomped it. Bite, bite, bite. And fish. All right. Hey everybody, we're still out here on Sardis Lake in Mississippi, catching crappie. Get the net after him. There we go. All right, there's another good solid keeper for you right there. Well, let's talk a little bit about coming here if you'd like some information. If you're coming to Sardis, actually, by the way, that's a new lure. I'm going to show you at the end. That's a new Bobby Garland slab hunter. And in this muddy water, that fish right there chomped it. And I want to measure this fish just to give you some idea of, this is just an average fish for here. But that fish is 13.5 inches. See, there's his tail right there. There's 14. He's 13.5 inches. That's just an average fish for this lake. We are not keeping them today, but if we were, that'd be a good solid keeper for you there. Swim away. So if you're coming here, you can keep 15 per person per day in the 4 Corps of Engineer lakes here along the I-55 corridor: Arcabutla, Enid, Sardis, and Grenada. Those 4 lakes. It's 15 per person per day, and no more than 40 in a boat, all over 12 inches long. Not just 12, they've got to be over 12 inches long. If you want to book a guide trip here, Terry Bird is your guy, and he grew up here, has been fishing here all of his life. Guides here, not only here, but on Grenada and Enid, here at Sardis. He guides on all these lakes around here.
Hey folks, Captain Greg Verm here for this week's Fox Southwest Outdoors Report. Hey, we're going to start this week's report here on the upper Texas coast with Galveston. We're in full swing summer patterns in Galveston, and lots of amazing fishing is going on. For those folks that would like to hook into a big toothy beast, hey, the sharks are here. Spinners, blacktip, bonnethead, sandbars, hammerheads, and more. Now for those wanting to target specks and redfish, hey, it's on fire. Dollar Bay and Hannah's Reef are loaded up. Work your topwaters early, then switch to your K-Wiggler, ball-tail shad once the sun comes up. Hey, now let's talk Freeport and deep sea. Red snapper season is underway, and the Gulf of Mexico out of Freeport, Texas is loaded up with monster red snapper. Hey, remember, if you want to fish Freeport or Galveston, and we still have a few openings for red snapper in July, check out the websites on the screen. I'm Captain Greg Verm. I'll see you next time.
Man, what a mess many of our big lakes have been across the state of Oklahoma over the past couple of weeks due to all of the storms. And it wasn't very many days ago that I was showing you 100,000 CFS going through the dam at Keystone Lake just west of Tulsa. We'll take a few seconds now to look at when that dam was amped up to a release of 275,000 CFS, causing flooding conditions all across the Arkansas River region all the way down to the east side of the state. First of all, my sincerest sympathy to everyone that's been impacted by the storms. As far as the fishing across the state, obviously our big lakes have been impacted by this, so the better fishing has been the smaller bodies of water, and we have a lot of those in the state to be fishing. Hey, things are going to get squared away soon. The fishing is going to continue to be good. We'll have a great summer of fishing in Oklahoma, and you can catch them, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide's wireless and easy-to-use XI3. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. Strike King, tie one on. Nitro Performance Fishing Boats, because champions aren't born, they're made.
It's like in all fishing, if you just pay attention a little bit to what's going on around you and what's happening when you get a bite. Rod tip right here. Rod tip right here. Got him. Notice I'm not setting the hook real hard on these fish. They swim up behind it, and the momentum of the boat most of the time is enough to get that hook in them. And if you go to jerking around too much on them, a lot of times you'll lose these fish. Come up here and let's see her. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Right here. Decent fish. There we go. Yeah. You know, it's like in all fishing, if you just pay attention a little bit to what's going on around you and what's happening when you get a bite, you can learn a lot about what you're doing. Look how wide that fish is, how fat he is. That's a real healthy fish right there. All right. I'm learning something. Again, first trip here. And so I'm having to learn the lake, but what I'm learning is anytime I get around balls of bait fish, schools of shad, or bushes that come up off the bottom but are still about 8 feet below the surface. With the Lowrance HDS Live and the new active imaging, I can shoot that beam off to the side on my side image a lot further, a lot higher resolution, and see a lot more than we've ever been able to see before on side image. And at the speed I'm going, about a mile an hour, and I've got these two 1/24th ounce Bobby Garland Moglo jig heads on. That's just the right kind of weight to pull those baits right across those bushes and right through those balls of shad. And that's what seems to be working to catch these fish. Really neat deal. but you've got to pay attention. Watch what's going on. Don't just catch something and just keep on fishing. Think, what was that fish doing? Where was he?
Hey friends, Cajun Phil here with the Fox Sports Southwest Louisiana Fishing Report. I tell you what, I was just getting ready to head down to the lodge. Captain Kevin and them are out there fishing right now. They are catching lots of redfish and a few speckled trout right now. Fishing has been very, very good. Let's talk bass fishing real quick. Remember last week I told you the Calcasieu and Sabine rivers were muddy? Right now it's clearing up. They're catching a few fish on the crankbait. Over at Sabine, spinnerbaits are working fantastic. Chaffalay Basin, talked to several friends there. They're catching lots of brim, bluegill, chickerpin, goggle eye. Everything seems to be hitting right now in the Chaffalay Basin. That would be a good bet to go. Come on down to Louisiana and get you some, as we say. Till next time, this is Old Cajun Phil for Captain Kevin saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you folks back here next week.
Looks like that's a bite. It's pulling back a little bit. Let's see. Yep, fish. Boy, they bite it easy sometimes. I'm just gonna come down here and land him the old-fashioned way. There we go. All right, there's skinny fish. That one needs to get out here and eat some more shad. Hey, I wanna mention something about crappie. You may wonder, why are you out here in the middle of the lake in deep water? I'm fishing right now over 25 feet of water. And you know what? It really doesn't matter. I've caught fish today anywhere from 10 feet all the way out to 25 because I'm fishing the upper level of the water column. You see, a crappie's eyes are situated on top of their head. They look up, they feed up. A crappie will hardly ever nose down to get a bait. So if your lure is under the fish, chances are you're not going to get a bite. So what I'm trying to do is vary my speed and stay out here and watch the bait fish. And I'm trying to keep my bait about 8 feet under the surface because most of the bait that I'm seeing on my graph is about 10 to 12 feet down. So I'm assuming that the crappie are somewhere at that level. They're going to be looking up, and I want to keep my bait above the fish. So that's what I'm doing. I'm speeding up until I can basically clear my lure over the tops of those schools of bait fish. It seems to be working. Crappie feet up, keep your bait above the fish. Your chances of getting bit are a lot better. And it takes a lot of experimenting with long lining. You've got to vary your lure weight, your speed, the distance behind the boat. All of that affects how deep the bait is, but all of it can impact how many bites you get. Back he goes.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and the follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Joel wants to know, what is the funniest thing you've ever seen while fishing? For an answer, we asked the one and only Kevin Van Dam.
I was on the St. Clair River, which has got really strong current. I was fishing for smallmouth, and this is in a tournament now, and I hooked a big one. And I thought that this was not only a giant smallmouth, but potentially a state record. I fought this fish and fought this fish and fought this fish, and it was on a tube, and it was a good solid bite. And I fought it for almost 10 minutes, seesawing back and forth the spinning rod with light line. And when I finally got it up to the boat, it was a pipe wrench hooked right in the middle, and every time I'd pull it, it would wiggle, and it felt just like a big smallmouth pulling in the current. So it was funny and embarrassing all at the same time.
Thank you, Kevin. If you want some help from one of the pros, simply go to foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
We are back at the boat ramp after a good day's fishing on Sardis Lake here in Mississippi. And it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. He is Tom LeBlanc of Sugarland, Texas, showing a 9-pound, 2-ounce largemouth bass he caught at Lake Conroe in Texas. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Fox Sports Outdoors. Look at last Tuesday's post. It's about the big catch of the week. Click comment, follow the instructions, send us your photo and all the details about the catch, and you could have your fish and yourself shown on television. Next up, here's the gear that we used to catch the crappie here at Sardis. It begins with the Lew's Wally Marshall Signature Series crappie rods. I had a 12-foot and a 14-foot rod off each side of the boat for 4 rods total. It's an IM6 graphite rod, medium light action, perfect for long lining for these crappie. And I had paired with a Lew's Mr. Crappie Slab Daddy reel. It's the white reel that you see here. Again, perfect for this application. As far as the baits were concerned, I was using 10-pound fluorocarbon line, and I had a loop knot tied up front first. On that, I had a 1/24 ounce Bobby Garland Moglo jig head with the brand new Slab Hunter swim plastic bait, perfect swimming tail, and that's the Cajun Cricket color. Now I want to show you one quick thing. I did a little video about this bait at a trade show here last year, and I want to show you how this bait swims in the water. It does a great job. The tail has a scissoring action as it swims through the water, and it really attracted the crappie today. Now, the other bait I used about 2 feet down the line is I used another 1/24 ounce Bobby Garland Moglo jig head, and on the back of this, it's a Bobby Garland Strolar. Again, the bright orange and the bright pink colors seem to do the best job in this murky, off-colored water. Remember the incident on Saturday Night Live last year where comedian Pete Davidson insulted U.S. House Representative Dan Crenshaw? Of course, Crenshaw is a U.S. Army war veteran who lost an eye in combat in Afghanistan. Crenshaw appeared a couple of weeks later on the show to accept Davidson's apology. Among other things, he said this: "There's a lot of lessons to learn here. Not just that the left and right can still agree on some things, but also this: Americans can forgive one another. We can remember what brings us together as a country and still see the good in each other." So forgiveness, even in a country as divided as ours, is still possible. And if it's possible on such a large scale, such a large venue as that, then it's possible in your life and mine. We had a really good time on our visit here to Sardis Lake in the Crappie Corridor of Mississippi. At least once in your life, you ought to visit this place or one of the I-55 Big Crappie Lakes as a bucket list destination. I want to give you the contact information one more time for Terry Bird. He's a great fishing guide. He can put you on these crappie on any of these lakes. Give him a call to book your trip. From Mississippi until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.